We're on the record. So, as I said, my name is Sally Dymond. Thanks for joining us here this evening. I am a double diamond with ASEA. I sit on the medical board, and I have been involved with this technology for about 4 years. So a little bit about myself there. I was a acupuncturist, massage therapist, scanner therapist, bioresonance therapist. For the last 28 years, I've been dealing with bodies and people. I've been lucky enough to represent the profession, I guess, and be a therapist on the women's tennis circuit. So the WTA, I was lucky enough to accompany Venus and Serena Williams, Martina Navratilova, Jennifer Capriati, Kim Clijsters, all the top female tennis players back in the time. I got to spend 5 years with them on the circuit, which was amazing. And I was lucky enough to work on a cruise ship, sail around the world on an exotic cruise ship, 6-star Crystal Symphony, as their head therapist. So the other times I've spent working in clinics in the States and Australia, and my husband is American. So for the last 10 years, I've been in Australia, and my clinic is based in Brisbane, and it's called The Body Specialist. But when I was introduced to these products, I was super skeptical. So tonight you'll hear some information that you probably haven't heard before, that your doctor won't tell you about, and sit there with open ears. Someone's invited you today because they care very much about you and your current situation, whether you are in some health crises or you're just looking to improve your health. We're going to elaborate on the redox technology and the products that we have available today. So my journey into sickness or health, let's just say, began when I was in my late teens. I was a swimmer. I just missed the Olympics by 0.04 of a second. And I was a 50-meter swimmer, so that was just my fingernails weren't long enough or something like that. So that led to excessive training, of course. So I was in the pool at least 4 hours a day, going through grade 12 and beyond, and in the gym and running and completely stressing my body on every level, which when you're that age, you can pretty much bounce back most of the time. But the problem is that I didn't bounce back after about 18 months, 2 years of flogging myself. I ended up quite sick with glandular fever, chronic fatigue, and it really took me a good years to recover from that. And that's what's really led me into alternate therapies and looking at other ways to heal and treat the body. And I was only 18 at the time, so that was a long time ago. I'm 45 now. And back then, acupuncture and all these alternate therapies were not very big. So I kind of was on the pioneer stage. Let's say people would say to me, what the hell are you going to do as an acupuncturist? And lucky for me, I followed my heart and my soul and just kept going on what I believed in. And as we all know today, there's acupuncturists and alternate medicine on every clinic in just about every town. So, and the health funds are mostly covering some of those therapies, sadly not others at the moment. But and then I learnt the scanner technology, which is a Russian device, and people said the same thing to me 10 years ago. Then why would I be doing that? So when I was first introduced to ASEA, I'm always very skeptical, and I spend a lot of time looking at things. And I spent about 9 months on the sidelines of ASEA, just kind of poo-pooing it and skeptical and going, how can it really do all of those things? And one day I woke up feeling quite unwell, and just going, there's got to be more to life here, more to life in that I don't want to be standing at a treatment table for 8 and 9 hours a day listening to everyone else's problems and, just standing there on my legs, which was quite taxing on my own body and my own energy. By the end of the week, I was knackered. I would pretty much spend the weekend recovering to then get back to treating clients for the rest of the week. So I lay in bed this one Sunday morning thinking there must be more to life. My skin's pretty horrible. The chlorine and the sun had some damage and effect on that. And I just thought, I wonder if that stuff might actually work. So thankfully now when I look back 4 years ago and I decided to say yes and get off the skeptical fence and try it, my life on every level completely changed. And when I first looked at this, I was really looking at this tube here, Renew 28, as a product that I would use for myself, for my husband. He had some funky toes going on. For our kids, they were just young. They're 11 and nearly 13 now. And they were experiencing all sorts of growing issues. They were experiencing bumps and bruises and cuts and scratches and things that just happened to kids, colds and flus that would come and go. And ASEA has completely transformed the way that we actually treat our family and our kids on a personal level. And then I did bring that into the clinic and start using it on my clients for their discomfort, their kind of issues that they were dealing with. And to my surprise, it had an amazing effect on the healing rate and the rate of recovery between treatments for these people, for their knees, their backs, their shoulders, for skin problems, for gut problems, for all sorts of things. And it started to make me think, wow, this is kind of an amazing technology. And so one thing led to another, and it led me into the business. And it was not my intention to go into the business with ASEA, because I had a great business as a therapist, but I was stuck to my table, and I was stuck to treating people. That's the only way I ever knew to make money. And the only way I could make money is by doing good treatment and having people refer my services and come back. So I discovered that by saying yes that particular day, it gave me a whole new avenue of life. And I'm going to share some of that journey with you this evening, and I won't keep you for too long. So life is short, and are you living the life you want, or are you stuck on the treadmill? I was very much stuck on a treadmill, and I seem to get on a 10-year treadmill. If you think back to your life, I want you to think about some of the cycles in your life and think about, are you on a 5-year, 7-year, 10-year, 20-year cycle? And for me, it was a 10-year burnout. So I actually spent 10 years overseas traveling, pretty much crashed. And the joke amongst my family is I left with a bandana around my head, a backpack, and I came back 10 years later with a 40-foot container, an American husband, and 2 kids. So, you know, I pretty much flogged myself. Swimming certainly flogged me. Then I traveled for 10 years and had a fantastic time doing it. And then I pretty much worked my clinic for the last 10 years. So I was pretty much on the downhill slide until ASEA came into my life to really save my energy and give me another focus and a much broader spectrum of people that I could really help now on a global scale. So you can see some great photos there. We've won trips all over the world, from the Bahamas to Cancun, Mexico there. We've been go rock climbing, and we go on some really cool trips with the family now. And of course, when you get an extra income that comes into your family, it can totally change the way you live and the experiences that you have. So I never dreamed of doing some of the things that I get to do today. And one of the things just recently is I've just stepped away from the table 2 months ago, and I now concentrate on helping people globally, and particularly with this technology and with other things where I'm teaching people to maintain and improve their life and their health, because you all have access to amazing tools and the doctors aren't telling you about any of them. So I'm being a force out there in the world and sharing my passion and belief, which is health and wealth now, and every home can access all of this stuff. So ASEA's mission, when I learnt about it, was very much in line with mine, and that is to better people's lives and be a force for good in the world. So they stand by their mission statement very, very strongly. And these 2 gentlemen here, Vertus Norton and Tyler Norton, his son, are the reason that ASEA exists. And when you hear about the story of how ASEA started, and you can Google that at ASEAGenesisVideo.com, and I encourage you all to take a look at that video. After a few weeks of being involved with this, I actually flew to the States to meet them and really decide if this was for real. And I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, these 2 guys are pure gentlemen. They're absolutely from the heart. They are not out to try and make a squillion dollars. They're out to actually help people. And you'll see them break down in tears in front of you when they hear stories of what ASEA has done to people and transformed their life from nearly dead to back alive, but not just alive, but thriving the way we're supposed to be. So Vertus Norton, just a very quick snapshot. He was the CEO of Kraft Foods for strategy. And of course, he was sitting on the board of a company, and they were trying to stabilize the technology of redox. And during that time, he had access to the machinery that made the product and was drinking it with some great results for him and his family and those around him. He was not looking at this as anything other than to provide advice and a strategy to the company that was trying to stabilize the molecules. What happened next, though, is that he decided that the machine was so great and they were feeling great that he wanted to buy one of the machines. But the problem is the company was not willing to sell the machine without selling everything that was involved with it. They were having some major struggles in trying to get the product stable and get the product to do what the science and all the backing was saying that it could do if it was just in that stable form. So he actually set about, and they bought all of the technology in the company, and they were fortunate to find Dr. Gary Samuelson, who you'll hear about later. He was able to stabilize these molecules. And I want you to remember that word stabilize, because I'll be using it quite a bit through the presentation. and it's the key factor in redox when we start talking about what redox is within your body. And so he purchased it all, and Gary stabilized it, and now they had a company and a product that was stable in a bottle that could be shipped around the world, and people could consume it without having access to the machine. And once they had all of this together, of course, they're not in the business of trying to set up a company and, you know, be in the healthcare field. They were in cheese or craft foods, and Tyler was in the finance insurance business. So, you know, this was not really their game. It was something that they really just kind of fell into, and then it evolved into something else. So they called on our friends, Big Pharma, and 2 big pharma companies did come in and take a look at what they had, because you would think that they're the people out there to try and help find the cures and the medicine and help save and cure all these problems that we're having in the world today. However, at the end of that long day, what happened is these 2 companies both offered an exorbitant amount of money to Virtus and Tyler to say, we will happily take over and buy this company, except the very next day the plan was to destroy it. And Virtus was not comfortable with that, because 6 of his friends were really struggling and fighting for their life. And these products were maintaining and keeping them in a healthy, functioning state. So he decided to not sell the company and to go forth and set this and leave it as a legacy to the world. So Virtus actually turns 80 this year, and I will be privileged to be at his birthday party in a couple of weeks. And they are honestly heartfelt, amazing guys. So I encourage you to get onto YouTube and type in Tyler Norton and watch some of his live speaking events. When I hear him speak, every time I hear him speak, he speaks on amazing topics of just being in a state and caring and helping others. They always put the principles of helping others before ego and economics, and it's all about helping people. So you'll see that as you go on the discovery of ASEA and learn more about it. But their vision is to become the recognized global leader in cellular health and redox-based technologies and achieve global distribution of ASEA's life-changing products, financial opportunity, and culture. So I can tell you there is no other product around like ASEA. There is no copycats. There's no competitors in our space. They hold all 4 place cards in the redox space, and everything is highly patented, so no one can copy us for a very, very long time. So why are you here today? Someone's invited you to listen to this call, and there is about 61 faces on the call. And of course, I can't really see any of you, and you can't see any of us, but you're all here listening in whatever capacity that is, whether it's at home, in bed, or on your couch, or from your phone. But do you need support with a health challenge? Do you want to live younger, longer? Or are you looking for a better life with some more money? And we could all probably answer 1, 2, or 3 of those questions. And for me, it was really to do with my health. Like I said, it wasn't about any of those other things. At the time, I was only 41. And at 41, you still think you're fairly invisible. And life doesn't start to go south until really just after 41 for most people, or even into their mid to late 40s. So most people that are using ASEA, when I first went to the States, I was the youngest in the room 4 years ago. Most people are 42, 3, 4 and above. So there's a reason for this, because at about 40, you'll see as we progress through this presentation, something dramatic happens inside of your body, which is why we all start to look, feel not quite as well and as good as we did in our 20s or 30s, let's just say. So what we've got here is different. It has a massive advantage in the health space. And when you add this technology into your current protocol, whatever that might be, whether it's medical, alternative, or a combination of both, you have an advantage where you're giving your body exactly what it needs to take up those treatments, those supplements, or anything else that you might do. Because what we're talking about is not a supplement, it's not a juice, it's not a fancy fortified structured water, it's not a herb, it's something totally different to that. And what we have is sustainable here. So we're talking about health at the cellular level. So if I was to say, we've got you there at the top, and I was to break you down into the many, many systems of your body, we've got several, endocrine system, musculoskeletal system, cardiovascular system, respiratory system, nervous system. There's so many that go on. But if I was to take one and pull it apart, the cardiovascular system, we would break that down into our heart, as in our organs, and then from the organs, the heart, we would break down into tissues, we would break down into cells. If we were to break the cells down, we break down into what's called redox signaling molecules. Now, our cells are made of little bags of salt water. If you think about it, you're made of 70% salt water. The earth that we're floating in is 70% salt water. And if we were to break you all the way back, we're really electricity and salt water. So everything that comes out of our body, when you think about it, is saline, our sweat, our tears. They're all of a saline nature. And so when we've got healthy cells, we've got healthy tissues, organs, systems, and a healthy you. Now, for people that are struggling with some kind of system that's gone out of whack, say you've got some breathing issues, it might be your respiratory system's not functioning at its best, then you might have other systems that are not quite up to par as well. But when we talk about the systems of the body, people will always say to me, I've got such and such, will this product help? And I go, well, let's break it down. What have you got? What system of the body? What organs being affected? That's the tissues, the cells, and we go back to redox signaling. So everything we can pretty much break down to the cell. So now I understand that when people start to say, we use this for that, and it's all different things and it has an effect, I can understand why, because we've broken the body all the way back to that element of our cells. So we live and die at the cellular level, and when our cells are healthy, we are healthy. The cellular communication is the key to cellular health. So when we talk about aging, with age, diet, stress, and environmental toxins, we start to produce fewer and fewer redox molecules. So at 40, the number of molecules that you're naturally producing in your body has declined by about 40 to 50%. So I like to say at 40, you're kind of 40% dead and 60% alive. So you're not quite on that tipping scale yet. When you get to 50, you're 50% alive and 50% kind of dead. Now, if you've taken good care of yourself and you've followed great diet and you've exercised but not excessively, you've lived in a fairly safe environment and not been exposed to much environmental toxin or pollution, then your probably aging process is not kicking in till more like you're 50. If you haven't been very kind to yourself, then the aging process and the knees going, eyes going, joints going, kind of feeling old might start to hit a little bit earlier. Now, lucky for me, I found redox at 41. And I've been drinking it consistently every day for 4 years. So I have many stories that range from ridges on my toenails to not really needing glasses to skin clearing up to all sorts of things that have happened in this journey over the last 4 years. And I've certainly seen it in patients from as old as 82 I've got that are using the product all the way down to babies. So you can be using this at any age or stage of your life. And when you start to replenish with redox, it's like you wind the clock backwards. In look, in feel, in sleep, in mood, in all of those things. So, we don't want to be sliding down that hill to the old, wrinkly, haggard, dehydrated, dried up looking people. We want to stay that youthful looking, vibrant, healthy person. And when your skin is healthy, that's a representation of what's happening inside your body on your cells as well. So the job of a redox molecule, if we're deep down within our cells now, it has 4 main jobs. So we have our reductants and we have our oxidants. And there's 8 pairs of these reductants that our body naturally produces. And the job of a redox molecule is to detect, replace, repair, and protect. So if I was to say to you, you've injured yourself as a 10-year-old, and it might be a wound or a gash, and you've injured yourself as an 80-year-old, which one heals faster? It's always the 10-year-old that heals faster because they're flourishing with this redox potential where their body can detect, repair, replace, and heal very, very fast. It's that self-healing mechanism that we're all born with and we're all thriving with until we hit that 40, 50 mark, and then it starts to degrade. So most of the time, if you say to a 40 or 50 or 60-year-old, how are you? The older they get, the longer you need to have them answer that question because they're going to start to tell you how they are. And it can range from any symptom, from any system in the body where the memory's gone, the hearing's not so good, the eyesight's pretty bad, the joints are hurting, the gut's not working quite as well. And if you were to go down into this level and go, well, you can detect okay, because we're good at telling you what our problem is, but what we're failing is in the next step, in the actual repair process. People that are generally sick, in pain or suffering aren't sleeping very well. If they're not sleeping very well, the doctor's probably given you a medication to help you sleep, but it's not a great sleep. You're not getting that REM sleep and you're not getting that natural repair process. It's a bit like when you have a computer and the computer kind of goes kaput, or you put it through one of those scan cycles. It's got to scan and detect, and then it has to go through a repair phase. Now, that's what your body does when you're asleep. But if you keep waking up, you're missing that repair and heal phase. So that's why we're degenerating and not regenerating, because if you're not sleeping, that's the first problem. So when you start to use these products, one of the first things that we notice is people get a really good night's sleep, because it puts you in that healing phase where your body can actually start to do that repair phase. So you detect and then you repair. If they're detecting bad cells, rogue cells, damaged cells, inflammatory markers, whatever it is that's going on, the body's natural response then is to send its own anti-inflammatories, its own antibacterials, its own antivirals, its own antibiotics, whatever it is. That's the process of self-healing. And that's the process of this reductant oxidant thing, that it's signaling the messages out. So if you're lacking that ability of the body to send the messages out, to send the good guys in, I say, to help heal that wound or repair whatever it is that's going on, then you're missing that repair cycle. That wound is open, it's gaping, and now it's getting infected because you haven't got that mechanism to protect from virus and bacteria that's automatically firing from cell to cell. So the job of a redox molecule is to coordinate this cellular activity and these 4 steps on that cellular level. So, you know, if you've got that cut on that 10-year-old, this is automatically happening. The detect, repair, replace, the anti-inflammatory, the antibacterial, it's all firing, and the body's naturally producing what it needs to actually fix that wound, that we as parents probably go, you'll be all right, wipe it and it'll be better. But as the 80-year-old, you don't have this fast ability of turnover and signaling going on. So it's detected it maybe, and now all of a sudden you're red, you're inflamed, you're getting infected. So if we take this redox molecules here that they have stabilized in exactly that same composition, and you put that gel into that area of concern or that problem, you've put into that area the ability that the 10-year-old has to signal and communicate all of these messages that are needed to help heal and repair that area of the body. So I say to my clients, if you can touch your problem, you need to put the gel on it. If you can't touch your problem, then you need to drink it. So that relates to anything that you can touch. So if you're sitting there and you're going, oh, you know, you've got something that's not feeling particularly good, then you're going to put the gel and put it on that area. If it's hormones or it's energy or it's blood test results or it's something that's within that's not, you can't touch it, then by drinking the redox goes to where it's necessary and it starts to heal and repair. So it's getting this process working in the body so that you can act like you did when you were a kid in that healing process that's just automatically happening, because you're designed to heal and repair. That's how the good Lord made us. And that's how we should be when you see someone healthy and thriving. All of these things are working. Someone who's sick, they're deficient in all of this ability to do that. We then go to the doctors and get cut, burned, poisoned on whatever level that is. And unfortunately, the doctors aren't helping put back in some of the good stuff. There's time and a place that we need medical and they need to do that job, but there's a bigger time and a place where we can actually perform natural healing before the problem gets out of control and we need that intervention from the medical space. So these redox molecules, they regulate every major system of the body at the cellular level. And so there's just some of the systems that we were just mentioning tonight. So when someone says, well, what is it? ASEA, what is it? I say it's purely redox signaling molecules. That's all it is. The active ingredient in it is redox signaling molecules. ASEA spends a lot of money on certification with Bioagilix. Bioagilix is a third-party independent scientific laboratory in the States. On the back of each tube, you'll see a label here called Bioagilix. I encourage you to Google Bioagilix and just look at who that organization is. They're one of the top big biotech companies in the States, and they certify, I think it's 8 out of 10 of the top 10 pharmaceutical products. Every single person that works there is a PhD holder. And when ASEA contacted them and said, I'd like you to analyze this and tell us if it contains active redox molecules, I think they kind of laughed at them and said it's impossible. Science has been trying to do that for eons and decades, and it is impossible. And they said, you know, do it. So of course, when the results came in, they were astounded at the fact that ASEA had stabilized the molecules, there's that word again, and kept it in that stable structure. Because what happens is that any other scientist that's been trying to do this over the decades, it's always gone back to being salt and water. And we all know if we drink salt water in large quantities, like some of us are doing with ASEA, we'd all be sitting in the renal unit. The problem is the people that are sitting in the renal unit drinking ASEA, they're coming out of the renal unit. So there's something happening here where when you get the right composition in your cells and you get that saline solution and that redox level right in your body can actually heal and repair. And so I always say I believe in miracles. I believe in all sorts of crazy things, but when you start to give the body what it needs, it can do what it was designed to do. So what does it do? ASEA spends a lot of money on science. You can go to ASEAscience.com and you'll find all their studies. But what ASEA and redox does is it tells our cells what to say, and it turns our genes on specifically in 5 systems of the body: cardiovascular, hormone regulation, immune system, inflammatory, and what am I missing? Digestive. So most of the time when you talk to someone who's got a dysfunction in their body, it's 1, 2, or 3. Some people have got dysfunction in all 5 of those systems. You got someone who's got a problem in all 5 areas, they're in a lot of trouble. When they start to use these products, they start to turn around because these products work specifically on those 5 areas. So anything that ends in itis, that's inflammation. Most conditions that you'll hear of: endinitis, pancreatitis, gastritis, tendinitis. What else? There's tons of them. Anyway, you know, when you hear the word itis, it's inflammation. So the inflammatory markers is something that ASEA works on. So why do I need to use it? Why do I need to take it? Because I said as we hit 40 particularly, our cells are breaking down. We're pretty much dying from the minute we're born, but we get a good 20 or 30 years in life before we really start to hit the downward spiral. So I take 60 mils in the morning and 60 mils in the afternoon most days. Some days I take 3. I've had 3. I'll probably have 4 today because I've spent the day talking. Since 8:30 this morning, I have been talking nonstop. So my voice is a little hoarse tonight. So I gargle the liquid. It really can help with anything that's going on in your mouth and your throat area. So what we've learned about redox signaling so far is that it turns on our genetic activity in these systems of the body. But these are our 3 redox products here. So we have our liquid. That's what we use to drink. We can also put it in a spray bottle and you can spray it if you're feeling a little hot. You live in Queensland. I quite often spray my face throughout the day. If you sit in front of a computer screen, it's a really nice thing to do to re-alert yourself, get it into your eyes. You can use it as a deodorant. The second one there is our redox gel. That was the second product that came out into the market 5 years after the liquid was produced. They were able to stabilize it in a gel form so that we can apply it to the skin. And then the third redox product just came out, I think in the last 2 years. And that's our serum. So that goes with the skincare kit, but mainly on areas of small concern. So I had a lot of keloid scarring. I used it to help reduce the redness and that ropey, bubbly feeling, and all of those scars have returned back to normal skin now. So they were fairly old scars. So when you get to a recent scarring that might occur from a surgery, I've seen miraculous, amazing, quick healing that goes on, so much so that the doctor will have to remove the stitches a lot earlier than suspected because everything starts to heal over the stitches. So if you're using it for that, please be careful that you will have to get that stitch removed before the doctor says. So we're talking about cell signaling. So imagine that messages that are going from cell to cell, and it's a bit like that communication that occurs. You know, I think we talk about that signaling. So I often will say when my kids are not doing what they're told, I'm yelling at them nonstop. We want this two-way communication going on where I'm yelling, they're doing, and then they're coming back to me. So you've got this communication that's going on. I want that active communication going on my body all the time, and that means you've got a healthy cellular function and you've got cellular efficiency going on. So our 3 products there. Some of the science that we'll talk about, it's non-toxic, it's completely safe for the family, as I said. There's 20% improvement in the appearance of wrinkles and elasticity of your skin. So particularly after surgery, if you've had things removed, your skin and your fascia becomes very, very tight. When you start to apply the Renew 28, you start to get some movement back into that area, particularly abdominal surgeries. People experience tightness and scarring not on the outside but also on the inside, so it helps to work both of those areas, outside and inside. The one I really like there is the bottom one, 50% increase in skin blood flow. As a therapist, I'm always trying to bring blood flow into an area. I call it the good guys come in and start to do the job. If I can send someone home with a tube of Renew 28, they can continue that process at home without me, which means they're not relying on seeing me quite as often as they could have been, because they've got something to do to support themselves when, you know, discomfort or something is occurring. They can keep applying that. So people that do that and they use this between treatments, whether it's physio or chiro or any type of manual massage, any type of treatment that you're having, when you can be treating yourself at home with this, you're increasing that blood flow and that cellular communication into that area specifically that you're treating. Of course, the women like cellulite, you can be rubbing it, and there's been great results there in the studies they did with cellulite. So these are all the third-party laboratories and testing that they use. ASEA spends a lot of money on science and getting these products tested outside of their kind of arena. So there's people in the States, there's people in Europe, the 5-star derma test, that's the highest rating that we got for the skincare and for Renew 28. So we're really treating from the inside out. And when we talk about nutrition, I love the fact that, you know, you've got good food and healthy food. Trying to maintain a good, clean, healthy diet 100% of the time is quite difficult in today's age. If you're out and you're social and it can be really hard to be on the go the whole time. So recently ASEA has launched a nutritional line. It's only available in the States at the moment. Hopefully we will have access to that shipping from our shores very soon. But when you have great nutrition and you have redox to help transport that nutrition around the body and that communication, you have the perfect package. So I say when you add good nutrition and redox, then you're really getting the treatment from the inside out and the outside in with the gel. But if you were to imagine a house, when you're trying to build a new home, you get the materials delivered on site. So you get the wood and you get the doors and you get everything there. That's really like the nutrition in our cells. So redox is not a vitamin or a herbal supplement like I told you. We still need that nutrition and those building blocks in our cells. But what redox does, it's like the labor. So it's like the man that comes and actually, and the workmen that start to move all of those things around to form it into a house. So when you've got enough redox, you can use the nutrition. So that's when I say, when you add this as the missing piece into your treatment regime of whatever it might be, this is the labor that's helping transport all of that information around the body. So the redox molecules provide the labor that detects, protects, and rejuvenates cells, allowing the nutrients, the materials that nourish the body, to be used properly by the cells. And you can see here's a number of photographs, oops, of it working. So I quite like the scar. You can see there, you can use it on your eyes for the vanity people, the redness that people quite often experience in all areas of their body, doesn't matter. Your skin's the largest organ of the body, and Renew 28 can go everywhere on the body. Wherever your fingers go, you can put this gel. You can use it for athletes in their performance and recovery. ASEA sponsors a number of athletes. They're sponsored by product and apparel and entry fees. They're not given money. That's a huge thing, because a lot of athletes out there are sponsored and paid a lot of money to endorse their products. ASEA athletes are not paid any money. They're paid in product to enhance their recovery and their performance. Every single ASEA athlete that I've ever spoken to says the biggest difference it makes is in that recovery phase. I know when I was swimming, the biggest struggle for me was training for 4 hours a day, going to sleep and thinking, oh my God, I've got to get up and do it again tomorrow, and the next day and the next day. And it happened 6 days a week. We got 1 day off and we were usually at a competition. So for athletes that are pushing on that endurance level, when you can be replenishing redox in your body, I say it takes a sick person well, a well person feeling great. It takes an athlete to win, and takes the super athletes, you know, standing and being number one. A number of these athletes are number one in their field. And we've got athletes ranging from golfers, you can see there, to ex-terra triathletes, crazy adventure racers. And Dexter here, one of my favorites, she's 74. She's an endurance Ironman. She's number one in the world for her age. So there really is no limit on who can use ASEA. If you've got a cell, animals can use it, plants can use it, and humans can use it. So I know a lot of great animal stories. People are saving a lot of money by not having their animals and pets spending a fortune at vets. They're simply treating them at home with the redox, either liquid or the gel on their bodies, particularly with horses. Amazing results. So I have to say, ASEA and Renew 28 are not intended to prevent, diagnose, treat, or cure any disease or medical condition. This is a very important factor. What we can say is that ASEA and Renew 28 and redox goes into your cells and helps to repair the cellular efficiency, function, and communication. So your body can do what it's designed to do, and that is repair, replace, detect, and protect on every level. So this is a picture of my son. Some of you might have seen this, some of you might have not. A couple of years ago when I was getting ready to do a triathlon, the night before, he came in and we were at a friend's place, and he had had a scooter accident. So we were not anywhere near home. I didn't know what the heck to do except fill his mouth with some ASEA Redox and just start that process of healing. I know what it does when you cut yourself, and with bleeding you can instantly see the blood congeal and it start to stop bleeding. So he held it in his mouth. The next day he wasn't feeling particularly good. I went off and did my race in the morning, and bad mother, I forgot that he was in a state, but I did get up at 3:30 in the morning, and by the time I'd finished the race by lunchtime, he was feeling a little bit off. So we went home. He drank my recovery pouch of ASEA, my 8 ounces, and had that in his mouth the whole way home for the couple-hour drive. And I called the dentist and I said I was quite concerned about the fact that he was spiking a bit of a temperature and it just didn't look very good. So he said, bring him in first thing Monday morning. And by Monday morning, it looked a lot better. And I insisted that they give him an x-ray because I thought that there was something quite severe. And he had said to me, Mum, I think my teeth are going to fall out. So due to the dentist is saying, I don't think it's necessary, he agreed, x-rayed it, and he had fractured all 4 of those teeth along the top on the gum line here. You could see in the photo, in the x-ray film. And of course the dentist was mortified and horrified and said he should be black and blue. And I said, well, we've been treating him with a number of different things. And that's why I was quite concerned. But on Tuesday morning, so this happened on the Saturday night, that was on Sunday, dentist was Monday, this was Tuesday morning when he got up, and you can see there a significant, amazing, like nothing had ever happened. He went off to school every day with the liquid in a spray bottle, and he would simply spray his mouth non-stop. It just sat on his desk, and he very religious, this kid, in using ASEA. He knows it works and uses it on absolutely everything. And a few months later, he had another accident with his teeth, and I insisted that the dentist x-ray it only because I wanted to see what had happened, and they had all completely 100% healed. So dentist was absolutely stunned, and of course, as the doctors and the dentists do, they go, oh, you're just lucky. You're so lucky that that occurred. And I thought, well, it wasn't really luck. It was everything that we did as well. This gentleman I met in Mackay, he had a much more serious condition, and he was at an event, and he was telling his story. And of course, he had been cut, burned and poisoned on many occasions. He'd had half of his tongue removed. He was sent home with the dire news of something you never want to hear. And he met someone on the way out of the hospital that day, one of his wife's old friends they'd not seen for 10 years. And she had the gumption to say, have you heard of Redox? I think you should try it. It might help give your last days or weeks or months, whatever he had left, a little bit of comfort and ease in some of the things that he was experiencing. He did drink a very, very large dose of the Redox, because when you're at this stage, you're just about out of Redox. Your body's ability to detect, repair and replace is essentially missing and gone. He supplemented every single day with 1 bottle a day, and he is now free and clear, living a very happy life. And everything on his head there, I actually took that photo in the middle when I was with him, and his skin is absolutely smooth, beautiful. And when I was talking about that skin elasticity, you can actually see it for real in people like this who have been using it. And obviously he was rubbing the gel all around his head and his face quite a lot and using quite a lot of the Redox. So, and I show you these 2 photos because we can go from acute to massively chronic and everything in between. So that's why I'm extremely passionate about this now. I can help more people on a global scale with this than I ever can standing one-on-one at a treatment table. And when you can tell people about this and the way that the company is set up, it ships from the warehouse to their door. So I don't have to be shipping and handling lots of product. I just need to simply teach people how to use it, how to apply it, and follow their progress and make sure that they're okay. Some of you are familiar with thermal imaging. This is some slides of thermal imaging before and after. You can see up there is someone's knees. The red obviously is indicating not so good. After 3 Redox gel applications 10 minutes apart, they re-scan all different areas of the body here. So some people like to see it in pictures of what actually happens there. So like I said, ASEAScience.com, that's where you'll find all the good information, all the studies from these third-party independent laboratories. Like I said, I sit on the medical board. There is a scientific advisory council as well. And ASEA is is like I've never ever experienced before in a business, in a company, with the people. It really is second to none. So there's 5 emerging technologies in science that are shaping our lives in the next coming years. And you can see here redox signaling is number 4. So there's a whole new frontier of medicine, energetic medicine, and all sorts of things that are coming. So yeah, it's exciting that we're on the wave here. You can actually Google the Huffington Post redox and get that article. But when you look at how you market a product, for me personally, in 28 years of business, my best and only advertising has been word of mouth. It's been proven time and time again. When you look at market channel effectiveness globally, the only effective, most effective way is by word of mouth. And so that's why they partnered with this method of distribution, because they want the right information getting to people, and they don't want it screwed and I can't even say that word, but when you go onto Google today, unfortunately, all of that information is now being censored. Google's now been purchased by big pharma strands, and you know, when you Google and big pharma, you'll start to see some of the things that are changing there, where Amazon now, they're removing a lot of the anti-vaxxers or the alternate therapy books. Joe McCullough's work is starting to be stripped down to the bottom of Google. And it's getting really, really hard to find the truth. The global censorship of information out there is frightening. It's real, and it's cutting across Facebook and all of the social media channels now as well. So the best way you can get information is from person to person, where they've got the right links and the right information that will direct you to the source, to the studies that are actually real and happening. And the only other way is to get off that skeptical fence and try it, because we spend too much time in our head, overanalyzing, overthinking, trying to like figure it out in our head, when the truth of the matter is, when you get it on the body and you start to experience it and feel it, that's when the magic actually happens. And you can't deny, when you're sitting in the presence of someone who's experiencing something and you put it on 3 times and you watch their face as they become alert and alive and their muscles start to work and their discomfort goes down, that's where the magic really is in actually experiencing it. So whoever invited you here, make sure you get together with them and you experience using some of it so that you can try it. But as I said, I've been lucky enough to visit the manufacturing plant a number of times now, and I'll be there again in a few weeks. But we have many, many distribution centres across the world. There's actually more than 11 now. This is an older slide. We ship to over 34 countries, and they're opening more every year. So every year ASEA is growing, and Tyler says at the end of the day, it's the people that matter the most. I'm a people person. These are our 2 other fearless executives that we deal with. Jaron Webb's the president. He says, gratitude can turn a sinking ship, brighten the darkest day, give purpose to the hopeless, peace to the tempest, and love to the hardest of hearts. And Charles Funke, our CEO, great man, he says, be grateful for what you have, work hard for what you don't, stop complaining, stop wishing, stop waiting, and start working. And when you start to partner with these guys, I mean, these are the people that I've been on amazing trips all over the world with, and the ASEA corporate executive teams are all in their, 40s. They're a great, great bunch of people. So you've got a few options now where you can sit and keep thinking about it in your head and start being skeptical and stay on that skeptical fence, or you get off and you go, you know what, I'm going to try it. It's safe. It's not going to harm me. It all sounds pretty good. You can only experience it, and you can experience it as a customer where you buy at retail from the person who introduced you, or you can just set your own account up with ASEA for $60 and you then order the products at wholesale price. Once you do this, you start to experience it. I say you need to do it for a minimum of 3 months. 3 months will give your body time to go through that process of detect, repair, replace, and heal. Once you've done that, your body can then start to regenerate. So Renew 28 is called that because the skin cells renew themselves every 28 days. If you can get your skin cycle back to 28 days, then you've got healthy, flourishing skin that's turning over. If you've got damaged skin like I had, it took a good 3 to 6 months before I really could say my skin was much better and it was smooth. I still get the odd little breakouts that occur because I have an allergy to chocolate and citrus and I still like to eat them. But my recovery rate from when I do splurge and eat something I shouldn't is overnight, and it can go back to being healthy, beautiful skin again very, very fast. Now, when you start to look good, feel good, sleep better, get energy, go back to doing crazy athletic events like I do now, you then get people say to you, what the heck are you doing? So you can either keep it a secret and it can be the world's best kept secret if you've got your mouth shut. But if you want to help people and share it, why wouldn't you share it just like you share your favorite restaurant or your hairdresser or your favorite movie? You're simply sharing what you do. Whether they see that movie or go to that hairdresser, you really don't care about. You really shouldn't care about what they do with the information when you present it to these people either, because some people are going to be like me and sit there for 9 months and be total skeptics, but at least you've told them about it and their journey can begin. If you keep your mouth shut and don't tell them, then they're fumbling around probably looking for the secret to health or something that might help them, and you're not telling them. So once you start to share it with people, the magical thing that happens next is if they decide to try it, you then get sent a little bit of money from a seer, and the more people that you tell, the more money starts coming in. So your products actually get paid for. And if you start to fall in love then when they ring you and say, amazing, that's fantastic, I've never felt so good, looked so good, slept so good, it becomes contagious then, and you want to tell other people. If you start to tell a lot of people, you move into the next box there, which I pretty much sit in now, you start to earn income that replaces your income from your job, and you start to live life. So my motto now is I live first and then I do a bit of work. So my living first means that I get to walk on the beach most days, and I can be on the phone, I can be texting, my office can be, literally yesterday it was sitting on the beach, my legs buried in the sand, and I was on the phone talking about health and helping people with their health concerns. So you can choose it to look like whatever that is for you, whether it be part-time, full-time, overtime, and you get compensated and paid for as much time as you want to put into it. And no one is ever going to push you to do anything. My job now is to really support anyone that wants to do something, and your upline will be doing exactly the same. You just keep going high enough that you find someone that's willing to help you build at whatever pace you're looking at doing. So I encourage everyone, if you're stuck in your job or you're stuck in life or you're just kind of stuck, when you start to open a door, you can start to walk through it. And while it might not be for you, you're going to meet some amazing people on the journey with a seer. If you can come to some events, you show up onto the Zooms. Some of the Zooms you can see people, this one you can't. So, when you just take that step and you dive in, $60 to get the account set up. You can then buy a starter pack. There's all different ranges of packs to start with, from a little bit of product to a lot of product. Obviously, if you're starting this and you want to share it with people, you get the bigger pack, you get lots of sample tubes for free, and you can then go out and share them. My kids take the sample tubes to school. My son's like the medic in the classroom. When something happens, they all come to him because they know that he's got the magic goo or the magic gel. So your upline can help you get started, or the person that invited you here tonight. But we're all at the start of something big with great purpose, and right now is the moment we begin influencing the future. We can change the world. So this is Vertus's famous quote. He is now leaving a legacy because he is now turning 80. He sadly won't be with us forever, but he is a very humble man, very difficult for him to stand on stage these days because he's overwhelmed with emotion at what he sees and what he hears in the crowd, because he decided to say yes to this and no to that big check that he was being offered to close it down. So I'm forever grateful that he did what he did. It's totally transformed and changed my life, and many, many thousands of people now that I have in my team all over the world. And when I hear stories of people and their recovery and what it's doing for them, I get chills, because if I didn't tell someone who told someone who told someone, I don't even know what would be happening to some of these people. They wouldn't be here today. I know that for sure for some of them. So be bold, be brave, and go out and share the message of a seer. And we're all here to help you on that journey. So I want to thank you all for coming. There is a couple of messages here. Let me just see. Hi, Sally from Europe. Thanks for listening. How long does it take for a seer to replace medication? Well, I always say you don't replace your medication. That's the doctor's job to help you with that. But when you start to get your body working properly, you will start to see that you won't require some medications, or you can start to come down. But that is entirely up to your doctor, and we should never be advising or recommending anyone to reduce their medication. That's really the doctor's department. But I think as a day, it's great to see you. I'm happy to see you. Hope to see you soon. But thanks, Tanya. Thanks, everyone, for joining. I'm going to stop the recording here and hang up and go and rest my voice for the evening. So thanks for joining, and we hope to see you at an event coming up soon.